Hey everyone, let's talk more about SAGA. So, this is the second video in our series where we are taking a look at the entirety of the current run of SAGA, which is 72 issues. This video specifically is going to be looking at issues 19 to 36, which makes up the second compendium. And then next Friday, January 23rd, we're going to come out with our next video, which is going to be looking at 37 to 54, and that makes up the third compendium. So, as with our first video in this series, there will definitely be spoilers. And in this one, there will be many more spoilers than in the first video as we are diving deeper into the story and the character progression. So, if you haven't checked out this series, definitely stop the video, go check it out, come back here, and let's discuss and see what you thought of everything. So I think the best place to start when looking at this kind of second main story arc is to compare it to the first main story arc, which is issues 1 through 18. It is definitely a little bit slower and much more serious, a little darker, and that is to be expected because our characters are really facing the consequences of their actions. I think it would have been the easy way out for the writers to kind of say, hey, we're just going to keep moving forward with the kind of lighthearted comedic effect and action in every single issue. But instead, they said, hey, we're going to kind of take the more difficult road, which is to really take a look at what these characters would be facing as they move forward with their actual character growth. And so I definitely applaud the writing of Brian K. Vaughan here because this is really what is going to make the story successful and a little bit more deep than if they were to follow the same formula as before. And so, with that in mind, I think that the best thing that we can dive into after that is taking a look at the character progression, how they're developing through the story, because I think that is a major, major focal point of this second main story arc and something that we should talk about quite a bit. So, for a few examples, if we look at our main characters, which are going to be Alana and Marco and Hazel, Alana comes into the story being the sole breadwinner for the family. So she's spending a lot of time away from Hazel and Marco. She is working long hours. And eventually she gets to the point to where she has kind of fallen to some substance abuse issues. And she's really struggling with that. And that is really the first, I would say, major wedge that comes between her and Marco. And then if we look at Marco, he's kind of becoming lonely, I think, especially as Alana is working some long hours. He confides in someone that he meets when he takes Hazel to the playground, to some different events, maybe confides in this character a little bit too much. And so that could be seen as some type of a mistake, I would say, especially because they are fugitives. They're on the run. The other thing that we get to see with Marcos is his past and really his history with violence and anger. It's something that he kind of saw when he was younger. And then when he joined the military, it's something that he saw a little bit more. And some of the things that he has done is, not great. And we can definitely see why he would have taken a oath to kind of maintain peace and not use violence to move forward. Obviously, we've seen that he has to resort to that to protect his family. But the thing that I really like about this is we are seeing a flaw in Marco. In the first 18 issues, you kind of are thinking, hey, he's great. Everything is wonderful. He is a fantastic character. I like him a lot. The writer here is basically saying, let's make this a little bit more realistic, show the flaws in the character. And I think that that is something that is really great, that they're not afraid to say, I know you might like this character, but this is real and he has some issues he has to work through. And I think that this is something that is a major focal point of this portion of the story. And then this progresses to several other characters, a couple of which would be Prince Robot the Fourth, and then Dingo, who we'll talk about in just a second. But Prince Robot the Fourth, we start this issue with his wife giving birth to a baby boy who is the princeling. Unfortunately, uh, he has no idea that this baby is born because he has kind of set his responsibilities aside. He is having fun on the location known as Sextillion. And so he misses the birth of his son. And not only that, he misses the opportunity to potentially save his wife, who is then murdered by a character named Dingo. And Dingo is a character that is really a product of war, and Prince Robot the Fourth, and then his father have really affected this individual because he is kind of at the bottom of the financial totem pole. He is a lower class individual, and his son ends up dying because he's not able to give him the care that he needs because of the situation he is placed in. And so he believes that Prince Robot the Fourth is to blame. He searches out his wife and ends up killing her, and he takes the baby, the Prince Robot the Fourth's baby that he has never met. And so now we have this interesting dynamic in which Alana and Marco and Hazel are kind of fractured, and they end up being separated. And so they're trying to get back together. And then you have this juxtaposition of Prince Robot the Fourth, who also is trying to get his family back together. He's never met this son that he's just learned about that has been born, and he wants to be reunited with him, and he has kind of a vengeful path that he's going to be looking towards. And so for those characters specifically, I really love what the writer has done here and just really showing their flaws, showing their struggles. And in this kind of second main story arc, everything is coming together. And that is what creates such a riveting story and so many overlapping items that really come to a head in this second main story arc. Another character I want to focus on that I think really is going to play a major role in the story as it proceeds forward is the Will. So he's a really interesting character because in the first, 18 issues when we were introduced to him, he is really seen as a freelance type of bounty hunter character who really is steeped in violence and will kind of do what is ever asked of him, so to speak, for money. And throughout the first portion, we see that he does have a conscience, he has a heart, and he ends up saving a young girl on Sextillion who has been sold into slavery, and he wants to free her. The interesting thing about this is that he does the right thing. He works to free her, and really everything since then goes wrong for him. The person that he seems to have a love interest in and a history with, which is called the Stock, ends up dying. And then as we get further into this second main story arc, his sister dies, and really kind of turns into a situation to where he made the right choice, but because of that, he is seeing a whole bunch of negative aspects. And so I'm going to be very curious to see how his character progression proceeds. And really, by the end of this second portion of the story, he does kind of take the moral high ground, if you will, through a series of visions from his sister, actually. But I have a suspicion that he is going to play a major role in this story. Perhaps he's going to be the saving grace, or he's finally going to be like, hey, I did the right thing once. It didn't pan out for me. And so now I'm just going to go with my gut, and maybe some bad things will happen. But I will say, kind of in closing for this video, there is a lot that happened in this second portion of the story. Some things that I kind of glazed over that are really important, that are very much going to affect these characters as they move forward. And maybe we'll do a second video to talk about those things. But I'm still very, very much enjoying this series. I think that the writers have done the right things to move the story in the right direction, especially as we proceed through many, many more issues to kind of keep the story going. I think they've done a great job. I cannot wait to dive into more of this. It is a fantastic story, one of the best that I have ever read, and I'm very much looking forward to moving forward. Artwork is amazing. The pacing is amazing. The action's amazing. It's really, really great. So I will see you all next Friday. Thank you all very much for watching and supporting us. We'll talk to you later. Have a great one.